Hello children, welcome back. Today we will discuss the second and the final part of the chapter, living safely. In the first part we have discussed about accidents, that they are caused due to our carelessness and that they can be avoided by being careful, and yet there are some accidents which cannot be controlled by human beings. So in that case, the immediate help needs to be provided to the victim. So in today's section, we are going to discuss about that only, that is first aid. Now, what is first aid? First aid refers to the first help which is given to the victim until the doctor arrives. Okay, so for the one of the most important thing while giving a first aid is that we need to remain calm. And we all must have a first aid box at home. It must contain a pair of scissors, cotton wool, bandage strips, an antiseptic lotion, thermometer, a burn ointment, and some painkillers. Now, what is the benefit of keeping one at home? So that we can easily carry that with ourselves whenever we travel from our home to any other place. Now, there are some accidental emergencies, and we'll just understand what kind of first aid is to be provided to the victim in these cases. We'll start with burns. Now, the burns, they can be caused if boiling water, or if fire touches human skin, or when skin comes in contact with very hot objects. The fire caused in these ways are of two types, major burns and the minor burns. Now the minor burns, they can be treated at home, but for the major burns you have to go to a doctor. Now whenever there is a burn, what we need to do it, we should treat the burns by pouring cold water or by applying ice over that particular area. When the burning sensation subsides for some after some time, then what we need to do, we need to apply an ointment or baking soda solution with water, which will not let it into blisters. Now blisters, they can be very painful, so that is why we apply the ointment, so that the skin does not form blisters. If the burn is due to chemical, then first and the foremost thing which we need to do is we need to clean it thoroughly with cold water. Small burns, they can be treated at home, but if it's a major burn, then we should consult the doctor immediately. Here we can see that during burn, the first thing we need to do is we need to wash that particular area with cold water, or we need to rub ice over that area. Next is cuts and wounds. Now suppose while playing you accidentally developed a cut in your arm. Now what are you going to do? You will just run back to your mother. Then what is she going to do with that? So what will happen? The particular area will be wiped with cotton, and that cotton is dipped in antiseptic lotion. Then a band-aid will be dipped over, or a band-aid will be applied over the cutted area. Now the band-aid which was applied over the cut area was present in our first aid box. If the cut area is deep and if the bleeding is not stopping, then what we need to do? We'll apply a tourniquet or a hard bandage over there, and we'll just immediately go to the doctor, because it might lead to some other consequences as well. Here we can see that the patient is having a cut or wound at his arm, and a bandage or a strip, the tourniquet, is being applied over that particular area. Next one is heat stroke. Now, how is heat stroke developed? Heat stroke, generally, as the name indicates, heat stroke is a phenomenon which occurs usually during hot and humid weather. Now, what are the symptoms of heat stroke? Tiredness, headache, vomiting, and sometimes fever. The first aid tips that need to be given are: take the patient to a shady area, give him salt, sugar, and lime solution. Here you can see the patient is lying in a shady area, okay, and then he is having a glass nearby him which is having a salt, sugar, and lime solution. Next one is nose bleeding. So during summers, nose bleeding is very common. The patient should sit or lie with his head lower than his body. Then the second thing what we need to do is we need to press the nose firmly, so that in order to stop the bleeding, and cold water is poured over the head or ice pack is applied on the nose. And then in this case, the patient is asked to breathe through his mouth and is not supposed to blow his mouth. These are the things which need to be followed during nose bleeding. Next one is animal bites. Now, animal bites, if there is a bite from a dog or a cat, you know that the dog and cat, they carries the saliva of dogs and cats carries rabies in that. So if there is a dog bite or a cat bite, then the first thing what we need to do is we need to wash the wound immediately with soap and water to remove the germs which carry the rabies. And then after that we need to apply an antiseptic lotion and take the patient immediately to the doctor. Now if it's a snake bite, then what we need to do, we need to apply a tourniquet just above the bite in order so that the poison does not spread to the entire body, and then we have to rush immediately to the doctor. So these are the steps which we need taken during snake bite. If there is an affected area, then a tourniquet is tied just above the bite, and then the patient or the victim is taken to the doctor. Next one is insect bite. Now insect bites are there. It can be very painful. It causes swelling in that area, bitten by an insect. First of all, what we need to do is we'll just try and remove the sting. Then after that we will apply ice on the affected area, and we can also apply lime water on the affected area. Here are the steps which need to be followed for bee sting. Okay, first of all the sting will be removed, then ice will be applied, or in another ways what you can apply, lime water you can apply. Now suppose, let's imagine that you are out for cycling in a ground. Then suddenly what happened, you just while doing your tissues, you just fell down, and what happened, your joint tissues get twisted and torn. That was a very painful experience. So that is known as sprain. So if there is a sprain, then what we need to do, we'll apply a lot of ice on the affected area, and it will reduce pain and swelling. Then we need to apply a pain relieving ointment, and then we need to wrap a crab bandage around the sprain joint. Now you have to remember what kind of bandage we are wearing. Like for snake bite, we were applying a tourniquet, and for sprain we are using a crab bandage. If pain and swelling is still there, then again we need to go to the doctor. So these are the different first aid tips or first aids which we need to provide to the victim. But if again the condition becomes worse, we have to finally consult the doctor. That's all for the day, children. Thank you so much. Have a very good day ahead.